Hey everybody, it's May, so April showers have brought May flowers. So it's time to talk about some flowers. Let's do some artwork based on Georgia O'Keeffe's flowers. Okay, so Georgia O'Keeffe is well known as an artist who painted a lot of different subjects, really. So she has lots of different work. Some of it is like buildings and cityscapes. Some of it is landscapes. She did a lot of skull imagery and bones because she moved to the desert later in her life. But she's probably most famous for her flower paintings. Okay, most people will recognize these types of things. So what she did was observe closely from nature, but she would really zoom in close to the flower and pick out certain shapes. And sometimes she was zoomed in so close to the flower that they almost became abstract paintings. So that's one way to think about it, is that you've zoomed in so close that it becomes abstract. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a painting, or really a drawing in this case, in the style of Georgia O'Keeffe by taking a flower and zooming in really close. There's a couple of ways you can do this. You can look at an actual flower at your house and just really zoom in close and look at the details. You can take a photograph and print it out. Here's a cool way to play with this idea though. Open up Word, okay, because most of you will have that on your computer, and then go to Insert and Pictures, okay? And you can do stock images or online pictures and look for a flower, but whatever, okay? Let's do stock images and let's search for flower, okay? And then let's just pick a flower, okay? So we're going to pick this and insert it into the picture, okay? So now, okay, let's click on this and click on crop up here. And let's crop it down into like a small section, okay? Let's make it kind of square. It doesn't have to be perfect. We're just going to get kind of close here, okay? And then we'll click crop out there, okay? Then we can make it bigger, okay? Which is kind of cool, right? So we've zoomed in and we just have these details. But let's push it a little farther. Click on crop again and zoom in even closer to the flower and just take this right here, okay? And click on crop, and now drag this and make this huge, okay? Now, what you're gonna notice is, I guess that's a flower, we took it from the image, but if you just make this painting right here, you can pretend like you're an avant-garde, right, abstract artist, okay? But you're actually working from life, okay? I mean, we can push this even farther, okay? And we can take this section here and crop it, and we can drag this up, and now, well, I don't really know if we can say this is a flower anymore, but that's where the idea came from. So it's kind of cool. An interesting way of looking at how to take inspiration from real life, okay, and end up with an abstract image, okay? So that's one way to do this, okay, is to draw this. Now take that right there, what's on your screen, and transfer it onto your paper, okay? So of course, that's one way to do it, but we can do it a different way as well, okay? The other way that I like to do it, and the way we usually do it in class, is we're going to take a picture, okay, of a flower, okay, that we had printed out or whatever, and we're going to just select a certain area to draw, okay? One way to do that is with a viewfinder, okay? So if you don't have a nice little viewfinder at your house that has a square hole cut in it, then grab a piece of paper, okay, and fold it in half diagonally one time, and then again diagonally, okay? And you'll have 4 layers down here. They're not folded, and you'll have one edge here and 2 edges here where it's actually folded over, okay? And then just cut across the top there. You want to try to cut it as horizontally as possible, and then you'll get a cool little viewfinder. You'll get a square shape there, okay? And that's kind of fun because then you can use that square shape to block out certain areas of the picture and create your zoomed in version of the flower, okay? So I kind of like that right there. So I'll tape that into place so I can look at this as my inspiration and my reference while I transfer the information onto my other paper. So grab a piece of tape, okay, and just tape it on one side, okay? I like to just tape it on one side because every once in a while, sometimes I want to look at the whole thing to give me an idea of what I'm actually trying to look at. Because sometimes if I've zoomed in too close, it's kind of hard for me to decide exactly what that is. So now I'm going to get a square piece of paper and I'm going to transfer the information, okay? There's a few different ways to do this, okay? But the way I like best is to imagine that there's a grid. Since this is your piece of paper, you can draw the grid right on there if you want to. So I actually used a Sharpie to draw the grid onto this one, okay? I'm not going to do it on this one because I want to use this in class still, and the black would make it hard, but think about dividing this up into several squares, okay? And so if you want to, okay, you can make marks on there, like I would do this and this. So here's the middle, okay, here's those. And so then I have a little bit of an idea of where the corners are, where the centers are, and then where the middle parts are, okay? And those just give me lines to look at when I'm drawing the information, okay? You don't have to make everything perfect, okay? It's gonna be abstract anyway. So divide up everything into squares. I find the simplest way to do it is just to draw a bunch of pluses on there and divide it up into squares. And then what you're gonna do is look carefully and try to transfer the information. So I see that this long piece here from the flower is starting up here in the corner in this area and coming down this way. So I'm going to draw that shape onto my paper. Now I'm going to have to push a little harder to help you see it on the screen than I probably would if I was really just sketching. And then this kind of bumpy shapes here, they all fit in this corner. So I'm just going to add those shapes in there. Now, if you want to, okay, you can of course go in there with as much detail as you want, but for what we're normally going to do, we're going to add color right on top of this, so we don't need a ton of detail. We just want to break up the shapes a little bit. And if I look close here, you can see that there's like this shadow here. So I'm going to draw that shape into there to make sure I kind of know that that is in place here. And that gets me most of the details that I want for this one, okay? And then we just go straight in to coloring. Now, you may have more detail or less detail than I had on this example, but this is a good place to start. So I'm going to do that. Some people will just take and outline everything in a black marker and just make a black contour line drawing and just really try to get all the details in there. And that can be a really cool, interesting drawing as well. But let's add some color to it and see what happens. So there's really a few different ways. You can use color pencils or crayons for this, but one of the best ways to make it look like an O'Keeffe painting is to use some oil pastels. Oil pastels are great because they blend really smooth and they let you mix the colors together a little bit easier than crayons or color pencils. They just have a different look to them. They look more like paint, okay? Of course, if you want to do a painting, you can actually get your paints out and do the painting as well and blend the paint. But we're going to stick with this oil pastel version for now because that's what we're talking about. So one way to think about oil pastels is how to mix colors together. And one way that I like to think about it is what I call the color sandwich, okay? So you've got a bun on the bottom, you got toppings in the middle, and you got a bun on the top, okay? And the way I think about that is that each color that I have has a base color, which is mostly what the color is, and then some change colors, which push the color one way or the other, depending on whether it's lighter or darker. And then the blend color goes on top, which may be the same as the base color, but may be a little bit different, okay? So these examples here were like, my base color was white, and then I changed it a little by adding a little purple or a little red into here, and then I blended everything again with the white. With the greens, I did something a little different. The base color was green, but I added a little black, I added a little blue, okay? So I had blue, green, and I had the darker green, and then I blended everything again with the green, maybe even a yellow green, I can't remember exactly what I did, so that everything kind of blended together. So the way that could work, okay, is you might look at your picture and think, look at this light pink area here. And if you don't necessarily have a light pink, well, white is the main color, so the base color for your color sandwich is white. So you're going to add that white into that area, okay, first, and then you're going to add your change color, which is like the toppings, right, in this sandwich here. So I'm going to add a little bit of red, okay, into here, and it's already blending with the white, but it allows me to get the pink all blended together, okay? And so I've got that. I might even add some white here because I know this is all going to be pink, but it's going to be different kinds of pinks, okay? So some of it's going to be lighter and some of it's going to be darker. So if I want the darker, then I might push a little harder with my red here, so I get this darker pink here, and very lightly with the light pink, okay? And I can have all those colors kind of mixing together on their own and get the darker color in here and then lighter. And then if I want to blend everything together in the end, I can go back to my white again and blend everything and smooth everything out. If I really want it to be dark, okay, if I'm looking up there, then I might add some shadow to it. I don't think I would ever necessarily put much black in with a pink, but maybe a little bit, okay? But you could add a little blue or purple, okay, as you start adding those shading colors in there and blend that color in there to get those darker areas. So that's the idea of the color sandwich, and you keep working to blend those colors on top of each other. This one over here, okay, if we look at it, it has some yellow and some red and some orange. So I might start with the base color of yellow, okay, but then I might add a little orange into the yellow, okay, in certain places to make sure that it looks good. I might add a little bit of red in other places to make it look like it's blending together. And then after I've got all those change colors into there, to make sure everything works together, I might go right back over it with the yellow again and blend those colors in there some more to make everything look smooth, okay? With the background on this one, it's pretty solid black, so I don't have too much to do. But there might be other ones where the color is a little more subtle, okay? Instead of just grabbing the black and coloring everything in, you could do that. So let me show you a couple more examples to get you started, and then you can go ahead and work on this idea. So this one, okay, has the green and the reddish orange, so you have all these colors kind of blending together here. This is the darker green over here blended in with some blue or some black. You don't need much when you use black. This is real subtle, hard to see maybe on the screen, but I've got, again, I started with white and added just a little bit of green and yellow in there and blended more white, so I got that lighter white color in there, okay? And so that's one way to do it. Here's a good example of one that I drew that I just basically did the outlines of with the pencil and kind of left it like that, okay? You could get a marker out and do that. You could do the same idea with black and white and gray and just blend the colors and do like a monochrome black and white painting as well. Okay, and we've done that before. So here's a version that I started with at the beginning, and I use crayons for this one. So you can see that the look of this is a lot different because the crayons don't necessarily blend as well. I'm letting the color show through. But I use gray and yellow here for the background, okay? Because, in fact, when I look at this picture, it kind of has a gray and yellowish hue to it. And I thought it kind of looked cool to try that out. So I zoomed in just in that one part of the picture to do that. So it's an interesting way to think about building a picture, is to start with an actual real life object and then zoom in really closely to it, and it almost becomes an abstract artwork just on its own when you've zoomed in all the way. So try this out, color everything in, blend everything in, and then if you get one, send me a picture, okay? So we can show people that we've been working on these May flowers. So check it out. Pop art at popolatha.org during this little coronavirus thing, and then we can share some of our artwork out, okay? If the coronavirus is gone and you're watching this, well, great, then you don't have to worry about it. We're hopefully back at real school. So have a happy May, and enjoy doing a little flower project. Mother's Day is coming up, okay? These flowers don't need watering at all, and they always look great. All right, see you guys later. Bye-bye.